Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is CareGiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to CareGiver Solutions Info, and that's caregiversolutions.info for those of you watching us on your computer or your mobile device. We're so glad that you joined us this week. We have a great show planned for you. I'm Marcia Teele. I'm your host, and this show is for you, for caregivers who are dealing with issues of Alzheimer's or other related dementia, and for professionals that would like to learn a little bit more about how they can help their customers and their clients with issues dealing with the same thing. So today is Tuesday, September 22nd, and we always have a little intro to the show. I want to tell you that we have a son who has come in to share his story. His mother, unfortunately, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he has a story to share from a son's perspective. And so we're going to get to that in just a couple minutes, so stay tuned. I want to talk to you, though, about brain boosters. Every week we have a little tip, something to share about how to boost your brain, how to keep your memory better, or improve your memory. And so we talk about a lot of different things here on the show. And this particular day, I want to talk about walking. Now, I know we've talked about walking before. Walking is good for you for lots of different reasons. Walking is good for your health overall. Walking has been proven to help people have better balance. It helps with your weight control. It helps with your mood. And walking actually can help get more oxygen to your brain and improve cognitive functioning. So we all know that walking is good for us. We all don't do it as much as we should, but we all know that we should. The doctors are saying that you should walk 30 minutes a day, at least 3 to 5 times a week. More if you can. Take the stairs. Keep moving. Mobility is key. Doctors are actually using prescription pads and making a prescription for a patient to walk. Instead of just a recommendation, it's doctor's orders. But I want to tell you that now you can actually walk for a purpose, because I want to talk about the Alzheimer's Association Memory Walk. This is the time of year that the National Alzheimer's Association is promoting their memory walks all across the United States. There's probably 600 different walks in the United States, and now you can walk with a purpose. The purpose is to show your support and raise money for the Alzheimer's Association. Right here in Boca Raton, we have our walk coming up, and that one is this Sunday. And then in West Palm Beach, Florida, we have one on October 10th. And there's plenty of opportunities to get a team together, tell your friends, your family, and walk to try to make an end to Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's disease can strike anyone, anytime, anywhere. And so we want to find a cure for it. And so by participating, making support, making donations, making awareness to more people, that we're going to we're gonna kill this thing. We really are going to. We don't know when. I know they're getting closer all the time, but it's really a passion, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to do their part. Now, the slogan, "The end of Alzheimer's starts with you," is being shared all around the country. And some of the things that the money is used for is that the Alzheimer's Association offers support groups and education. They can provide educational materials and care resources to caregivers all across the United States. They also use the money to accelerate research through programs like Trial Match, which is one of their programs, and they also use the money to engage elected officials to make Alzheimer's a national priority. Now, the Alzheimer's Association has a mission, and I'd like to share that with you. Their mission is to eliminate Alzheimer's disease through the advancement of research, to provide and enhance support for all affected, and to reduce the risk of dementia through the promotion of brain health. And their vision is a world without Alzheimer's disease. I like that vision. I think that is awesome, and I will do everything that I can to help promote an end to Alzheimer's. The Walk to End Alzheimer's is the world's largest event to raise awareness and funds for Alzheimer's care, support, and research. Held annually in more than 600 communities nationwide, this inspiring event calls on participants of all ages and abilities to reclaim the future for millions. So, how do you participate? What do you do? Very, very easy. You want to go to the website, which is www.alz.org. So that's alz.org/walk. And when you go to that website, you'll be able to put in your zip code, find a walk that's closest to you. You can then join a team, create a team, or just donate, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that way you can participate and be part of the Walk to End Alzheimer's Disease. Now, the one that we're having here in Boca Raton is this Sunday, as I mentioned before, right at Meisner Park Amphitheater. It's going to be an awesome event. This is the second annual one they're having in Boca Raton. There was a spinoff from West Palm Beach. So many people in the south end of the county wants to get involved. So check-in is at 7 a.m. There's opening ceremonies at 8 a.m. The walk actually starts at 8:30 a.m. and the route length is only 1.5 miles. So if you like to walk, but you have trouble walking, but you want to get out there and do your part, it's not a long walk. It's 1.5 miles. I think that's pretty doable for most people. Just put your sneakers on and bring a hat, some sunglasses, maybe a little sunscreen, and go out and have a good time. There's always booths at these walks. They have vendors. There's people giving lots of great information to the public. They have a lot of fun. They have food. So it is a really nice event. You get up in the morning and now you have a purpose to go walking. So I hope that you will join us in the fight against Alzheimer's disease. Join the Alzheimer's Association and support them in any way that you can. And thank you in advance for doing that. So we're going to take our first quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to meet Sam.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice.
Hi, this is Marcia Teele of CareGiver Solutions Info. I'd like to tell you about Senior Home Companions. They provide care in the home for seniors by active seniors. The caregivers are mature men and women who understand the needs of seniors. Caregivers are individually matched to each client, creating a bond and a high level of comfort. A nurse registry, Senior Home Companions have been assisting seniors in Palm Beach County for 17 years. For a complimentary assessment, call Gloria at 561-347-6676 to see how a senior home companion can help you.
You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to CareGiver Solutions.
Hi, and welcome back. We're going to meet Sam. He's right here in our studio, and Sam's mother has Alzheimer's disease. And Sam has come to share his story so that people can see from the perspective of an adult child, from a son, how taking care of his mother with Alzheimer's disease has affected not only him, but his whole family. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you for having me, Marcia. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you.
I know that we've met, I don't know, maybe last year, about a year and a half ago.
Right.
And you contacted Arden Courts for information
Yes.
about getting some information to take care of
My
your mom. And that's how we first met.
Correct.
So I wanted you to come here to tell your story because I think a lot of people could identify with what you have to say. A lot of people are walking in your shoes, although they don't know that they're not alone. And I think the more that we share, I think that people are going to realize that this is something that happens to a lot of people. And I think maybe you could lend some insight to that, and from your perspective and your experiences, talk about your journey. So perhaps they'll learn some things and be prepared for what's to come down the road.
I think that it's a rough road. It's nothing you can prepare for. It just happens.
Right.
We found some subtle differences in mother, memory loss and not speaking correctly, and, for example, parking the car weird and leaving the keys in the car, not being able to operate the car. These were significant flags. So when we investigate things like this, we try to keep it close. My sister would try to visit, find out if it's getting worse, had some tests done, realizing that she has progressive dementia or Alzheimer's. So
Now that must have been kind of weird. Like you said, she was doing things, and did you question her about that right off the bat?
No
or did
question.
you kind of watch and sit back and kind of think, what's going on?
I did both. I stood back because it was so out of character. But then you say to yourself, well, geez, you almost get angry. Mom, why are you doing this?
Right.
This is not you.
Right.
Because you don't have it in your head yet. I think the hardest thing is that we have to get used to that. Initially, you don't realize it till it starts to escalate. Then you realize you've got an issue.
So when you questioned her when she would do some of these things that were not usually things that she did
Right.
she deny it? Did she make up stories?
Absolutely. Denial. I mean, there's nothing that you're going to make her say, yes, I did it, I'm sorry. They don't realize it. And this is, part and parcel to now you have to step forward to take care. Now you become the guardian because there's significant issues. They can hurt themselves. They can forget where they put the keys, put their hand on the stove or fire. We knew, very quickly what we were going to deal with.
Now, when this was started happening, I think you and your mother lived up in New York?
My mother lived in New Jersey.
Okay.
And Hurricane Sandy had hit, but my sister has been giving me intelligence that my mom is not well, et cetera, et cetera. So when Hurricane Sandy hit, I said I need to get to Jersey and find out what's going on.
Make sure she's okay.
Correct. So when I got there, it wasn't okay.
What did you find?
Well, she was very disoriented. She wasn't able to cope with a situation where usually my mother can cope. You know, my mother was a single parent very early on, so she's a very strong-willed person. And the things that she was doing were a sign of weakness, which I've never seen. So at that point, I brought her back to Florida with me.
Okay.
So, and for 2.5 years, I was the primary caregiver.
So you brought her back to Florida. To live with you?
Correct. She lived with me.
In your home?
Correct. So out of the 2.5 years, the last year of the 2.5 years, I stopped working completely to try to figure out how I was going to handle this. You know, this is also a family issue. This wasn't an issue that I can say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the hardest thing is, what decisions do we make? How is it going to affect her? How is it going to affect us as a family? Significant financial issues, dealing with Medicare, Medicaid, all of these things. I mean,
much.
Absolutely.
So much.
There isn't enough you can do to try to get this information.
That's right. Now, I know your mom is a nurse.
Yeah.
And like you said, she was a single mom early on.
Yep.
So a nurse's personality is to take care of other people.
Right.
And it turned out that, you know, maybe she couldn't take care of herself.
Correct.
Let alone other people.
Ironically, my mother was practicing in a hospital in New York for 40-some-odd years in a chronic care facility. So she, you know, even today when you go to visit her, she's taking care of other patients. She thinks that she's still at work.
Right.
You know, which is good. The aides know how to treat her, and that is a big help. Otherwise, she gets combative.
Right.
You know, we learned a lot.
So when your mom was doing these things and you said, Mom, I want to bring you back to Florida and live with me, I mean, probably in the beginning, you know, did she doubt, did she question you? Did she kind of fight you, or did she go along with it?
She initially fought it. She wasn't going to have anything that we were going to tell her negative about her. That wasn't going to work.
Right.
And we knew that the minute we said that, it would shut down.
So how did you do that?
We're coming for a vacation. You're going to stay with me for a week.
There you go.
So in that week, that's an eye-opening week. You really see the deficits. You really, because now it's 24 hours a day, every day.
Before you brought her to your house, when you went to check on her after the hurricane or during the hurricane time, what did you find her living conditions to be?
Her living conditions, Marcia, were pretty good, but unorganized, where she's been very organized. I mean, I have pictures of her house where you see it's spotless. The issue was, you know, with her getting behind the wheel, this is where she had most of the trouble. She couldn't use the cell phone anymore, didn't know how to use the cell phone. She didn't know how to get the key out of the car or park the car in the middle of the street thinking that that's a parking space.
In the middle of the street.
Exactly. So, you know, this now becomes something where you say, we have to do something, and that gets the ball rolling. And this is where we start making phone calls. This is where we start talking to psychiatrists, psychologists, et cetera.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the hardest things for people that have dementia is when you have to say to them, you can't drive anymore.
Oh, wow. It was terrible to the end. I flew back to take the keys. I mean, you know, she came with me to see what was to close up the house, et cetera, but she didn't want to give up that car. You know, it's funny because the symptoms are all the same, no matter who it is. The symptoms are the same. They're textbook. What's different is the personality. That doesn't go away. It may get masked by some of the symptoms, but that personality does not go away.
Sometimes with the disease, as the disease progresses, you know, yes, they do have a certain personality, and that personality is going to get even stronger.
Oh.
And sometimes, though, the personalities can be reversed. It just depends on the person and how the disease affects them.
Correct.
But in your mom's case, the personality got stronger.
Absolutely. And she was very strong to begin with. So this became very bad. You know, I mean, and as time progressed, the condition got worse.
So did she see you as the bad son because you were telling her no?
Absolutely.
And
I was the villain of villains. I couldn't be the worst any better. I mean, she would look at me and blame me for everything. You're holding me against my will. You think you're still a cop. I'm going to have you arrested. You see my black and blues on my arms. I'm going to tell the cops you did this. Mm-hmm. You know, and she would exit out my home. And
so you were the bad guy.
I was the bad guy.
And how did that make you feel?
Initially, you feel bad. You know, when you bring somebody home and the symptoms become worse, you really say to yourself, am I doing the right thing? For her and for me. Mm-hmm. You know, so you feel very bad because they don't get that you're trying to help them.
Right. They think
It's
you're
not
just
that.
trying to tell them what to do.
Correct.
I'm the mom, you're the son, you should listen to me, and I'm not going to listen to you.
Correct.
But now the roles are reversed.
No question.
And
And
you-
she wasn't going to have that. One of the things was she was non-compliant with medicines. I would give her the pill. She would take it, put it in her fingernail. Look, I took the pill and show me her tongue. It was in her fingernail.
Ah.
So
Now, that the fact that she's a nurse,
Yeah.
right, and you're trying to give her the medication, I'm sure that wasn't easy for her to accept that.
it never worked. It just never worked. I mean, I'm telling you, from day one to, I had to Baker Act her. I mean, you want to talk about things that are hard to do. Who on earth wants to Baker Act their mother?
Right. We're going to talk a little bit more
You know.
about that, but I want to ask you a couple questions before we get to that point of, more of what led up to this, because more of the struggles, the day in, the day out, because now she's living under your roof.
Right.
And you actually had to quit your job. You were a New York police officer, and you actually had to quit your job to take care of your mom.
I left the police job a long time ago, but this regular job that I had here, I left to take care of her solely.
Okay.
But that, when you spend all day, all night, you realize that it's a full-time situation. You can't leave her alone. She flooded my house 4 times.
She flooded your house.
She nearly set it on fire. At this point, doesn't want to go to doctors, doesn't want to be assessed. So, what do you do at this point? You are completely against the wall.
So what did you do when she's telling you, no, I don't want to do? What did you do?
We brought her into a psychiatrist up at Traditions in West Palm Beach, and we had her assessed. We needed to know what it is, what we can expect, and we met a very nice psychiatrist there. And when we got that diagnosis, we realized that, let's see how the medicines work. They gave us a round of medicines, which, it was one thing after another. It's like giving ice cream to a baby to keep them quiet, and that's basically what it was. It wouldn't last. Unfortunately, towards the last year, it became to a point where I could no longer, in all my efforts, manage her to be the prime care.
Some of the things that you tell me that she did, the flooding, the fire, how did she almost start a fire in your house?
I would do the cooking for her. Of course, I do the cooking. I would say, Mom, the stove is hot. I would even place red to stay away from it. But they don't realize that. They just move it away. She put something on top of it, on top of the burner.
While it was still hot.
Absolutely.
And
it could have been her hand.
Mm-hmm.
The flooding,
What about nighttime when you all went to sleep? Did you sleep soundly, or did you have to sleep with one eye and one ear?
No, you sleep with one eye open because my mother gets up, she tussles around, walks into the kitchen, you don't know what they're taking, what they're putting back, if she may fall. You never, let me tell you, Marcia, when you do what I did for 2.5 years, your life changes. You have no control anymore. You become secondary. But that's sad, because in order for you to take care of her, you have to be strong.
Yes.
So,
And, being, you're an ex-police officer.
Yeah.
Police officers have a certain mentality and the strength, and yet this is something that, of course, you never had to encounter before.
That's a funny statement, because if it wasn't your mom, you'd react differently without this getting involved. When you're thinking with your head, it's a good thing. When you think with your heart, it can be a problem.
There you go.
So, and this is where I was.
Yes.
2.5 years alone. So, when I say alone, of course I have family, and they live in New Jersey, etc.
But they weren't there day to
right.
day.
Exactly.
They weren't there today. I'm sure that you had the phone calls and
absolutely.
a lot of conversations.
I put them on Skype, and so whatever, they can see these things. So they were never out of touch. Their only out of touch was not being there on demand.
So when you said you couldn't leave her alone, that must have affected your social life.
It affected everything. You can't. I used to ride a motorcycle. I used to take my dogs for long walks. And that's another thing. If I had to go to the bathroom, for example, I'll go with you. They think that you're leaving out of a window, out of some imaginary porthole that's going to transport you out of the building or that.
She didn't want you to be away from her.
She would go into a panic, a panic. So, that changes.
You're attached like glue
There's no
to
question.
each other.
And there is nothing that you can do to fix that. That's inside, it's imprinted. You need to get used to it, not her. And that's the other thing. You say, well, you can't let them lead. They lead. You have to let them lead.
If you don't let them lead, sometimes
Right.
you're in for a fight every minute of the day.
And your own sanity's gone. And that doesn't work.
That's true.
So you shut down, they shut down, you got a miserable existence.
So would you say you kind of learned by trial and error?
No question. There's no manual on this. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's different. Show me that manual. I'd like to see that manual. It's your parent, whoever it is. That's an individual. It's like a thumbprint, a fingerprint. There's no two alike.
No two alike. You're right. Even though you can have 100 people diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, but then you have 100 separate individual people with individual likes and dislikes,
Absolutely.
individual personalities, individual idiosyncrasies. Everything is about who they are. The only thing they think they have in common is they have the diagnosis of Alzheimer's
Correct.
disease. And
Correct.
so you, like you said, there's no book that's going to tell you exactly how to care for that one person. And the hard part is you didn't have any warning this was going to happen, so that you didn't have time to go to the encyclopedia or go to the website and start reading all about this and learning all about it, because who would have thought?
Yeah. It absolutely true. And then when you do have the time to look that up, whatever you get out of the first paragraph, that's it. That's what, you don't need anything more, because you're going to live the rest. So once you see that first paragraph, and it's going to hit that nail on the head almost every sentence as far as symptomology is going to go, you don't need to read anymore. It's going to come to you.
Or it's already been there.
Right. Been there, done that. Trust me. And I have found, when you do look at it, it makes you worse.
Why is that?
It's anticipatory. Now you're waiting for it.
You're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Correct. So I stopped. Look, I grew up in a family of doctors. I know. I didn't need to read it anymore. I need to handle it when I was handling it.
Mm-hmm. And
my problem was I didn't realize that I could stop handling it.
Okay.
See?
Now that's a whole nother story.
Correct.
So we're going to talk about that in just a minute.
Correct.
We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, Sam's going to talk about how he realized that he didn't have to handle it anymore. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Take a pen and jot down this information. Right from the Heart assists families in finding the right living arrangements for their aging parents. Founded in 2012 by Sharon Agate, Senior Lifestyle Consultant, Sharon has counseled seniors and their families for over 20 years in clinical settings and in independent assisted living and memory care communities. Finding the right community can be overwhelming and time-consuming. Right from the Heart takes the stress and worry from you. Sharon will meet with mom or dad and evaluate their needs and lifestyle preferences and create a personalized plan at no cost to you. She will accompany you to visit selected communities and guide you every step of the way so you can be assured you're making a well-informed decision. Call Sharon at 561-374-4696. Sharon's promise to you is in your knowing that her advice will always come right from the heart.
Hi, this is Marcia Teele of CareGiver Solutions Info. I'd like to tell you about Senior Home Companions. They provide care in the home for seniors by active seniors. The caregivers are mature men and women who understand the needs of seniors. Caregivers are individually matched to each client, creating a bond and a high level of comfort. A nurse registry, Senior Home Companions have been assisting seniors in Palm Beach County for 17 years. For a complimentary assessment, call Gloria at 561-347-6676 to see how a Senior Home Companion can help you.
Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back. I want to thank our national sponsor, Arden Court's Memory Care Community, for making this show possible. And Arden Court specializes in Alzheimer's dementia care. They are a leader in the field. They are located all across the United States, over 50 locations. And if there's one near you, give them a call, take a tour, see what it's all about. So Arden Courts cares about the caregiver as well as caring for the resident. And two things that Arden Courts would like to provide to you as a caregiver watching the CareGiver Solutions Info show. First of all, we have a book that was written by Gary LeBlanc. It is called Staying Afloat in a Sea of Forgetfulness. Now today, on today's show, we're talking to Sam, who is a son whose mother has Alzheimer's disease. Gary LeBlanc has a father that had Alzheimer's disease, and Gary wrote this book of his experiences and his journey, and he would like to share with you his journey. This book has about 81 short chapters on all kinds of different topics from beginning to end, and I think you'll find it very helpful if you're dealing with, especially as an adult child, a daughter or a son, dealing with a parent that has memory issues. And all you have to do to get this free book is call the Arden Courts 800 number, which is 888-478-2410. Tell them that you saw it on the CareGiver Solutions Info show. Give them your name, address, and telephone number, and they'll ship it out to you free of charge, and you can get this book as compliments from Arden Courts. Also, Arden Courts will offer a free day of respite. If you're near an Arden Courts and you'd like to have a free day of respite where you can drop off your loved ones so they can participate in fun activities in a safe, secure, nurturing environment for a day, then give them a call and ask about the free respite program. It's called a day stay, and you as a caregiver can take a break because it's hard being a caregiver, as you probably have realized and will realize that it doesn't get any easier. It usually gets harder before it gets easier, and so we want to offer that to you too. So I want to thank Arden Courts for offering these two wonderful opportunities, the book and the free day stay, and give them a call, and they'll be happy to help you with any questions you have about memory care, about memory-assisted living. And now we're back in the studio with Sam. Hi, Sam. Thank you for sharing. Sam is a son whose mother has Alzheimer's. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about all of the experiences you had when Mom came to live with you, and 2.5 years you were taking care of her virtually by yourself, learning your way. And then I think something pivotal happened. There usually is something that happens in the caregiving arena that basically is the straw that breaks the camel's back, a crisis situation, something kind of snaps, and then it causes caregivers to realize, hey, maybe I can't do this anymore. Right. What happened with you and your mom?
A thing called sundown syndrome. That was a class, a college class for us. In case people don't know, I mean, when it gets dark out, there's such a shift, a negative shift in their demeanor. It's volatile, it's combative, it's everything negative. And so this was new to me. I couldn't put my finger on it. First, we thought it was UTI infections, which set them off.
Right, could have been. Mm-hmm.
So I go to the store and I buy the UTI kits. Now I'm giving my mother a UTI test. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they were very bad. But
urinary tract infection.
Urinary tract infections, correct. Mm-hmm. And that puts them on a different planet.
Oh, it does. It'll make somebody go off the wall.
And it lasts for hours. Mm-hmm. So when she did have infections, of course, we gave her the round of antibiotics.
Okay.
But the sundowner syndrome is a different animal altogether, and this is treated by medicines, which she did not want to take. When I say aggressive as an 82-year-old, 80-pound, 90-pound woman could be.
She's little.
She's tiny, but the veracity of a 6'4" linebacker. She would point to me, and You can't hold me here. I'm going out the door, and walk out the door.
This is at
Call me
night?
at night. Every time I got, I thought it was almost like 5:30, between 5 and 5:30 every day.
Everybody has their tipping points.
Absolutely.
And as the sun goes down, that's why they call it sundowners. As the sun's going down, it usually it starts in late afternoon,
Absolutely.
early evening. It's like sort of like when it's not the same, but like you're saying that you anticipated this once you realized it was happening. When my little baby was born, about the same time every day, he had like the colic, and he
Right.
would go just nuts with the crying, and there's nothing you could do to stop it, and he drove you crazy. And it was every day at the same time.
Right.
So with you and your mom, you began to realize that this was happening every day, and you came to find out.
It was sundowns, right?
Sundown,
And I try to prepare for that too, medically or pharmaceutically, if you will, and in anticipation of that, to prepare like a Jell-O with a crushed up pill in it, which she wouldn't take, by the way. She's on me.
She
Wouldn't take it. I'll do it myself. That's that paranoia that came in.
Well, being a nurse again, too,
Absolutely.
right? She's not only
Yeah.
paranoid with what you're going to be giving her, but as a nurse, she probably wanted to inspect everything.
Everything. I mean, a sandwich. She would take the sandwich apart.
Really?
Just to see if the pill was in it. Or she could taste it. If I crushed it, she could taste it. So, I mean, it's a no-win situation. So this escalates now to the point where it's not safe. She is now trying to get out of the house. She's trying to elope. And when I would go out to retrieve her, this is 11:30, 12 o'clock at night,
Oh, wow.
12:30. The first thing she says is, "Help, police!" And that's all people need to hear.
Now, you live in a condo?
A condo.
Okay, so there's people close by.
Well, there are buildings all over, and this little lady's belting it out.
And she's yelling, help, help, police!
Correct.
And did people
Police come. The police come. And naturally for me, look, he's beating me up. Look at my black and blues. And now the explanation has to come in. Yes, I'm a former police officer. And I have to restrain her. And my mother gets black and blues very easily. She's on this medication, that medication.
Did the police believe you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They were very good.
Okay.
With that, but it gets to a point where you cannot do it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's such. You feel bad. You feel guilty, but you are not in control. This bad situation is controlling you. So now comes the point. We call the psychiatrist. She says you have to Baker Act her. Well, I know what a Baker Act is, but you feel so bad. Tell me what this Baker Act thing is. You want to hear somebody else say it. Maybe I missed an ingredient.
Why don't you share what Baker Act, what it means
it's
to you?
It's a court
and
order. Yeah, it's a court order, and a physician has to sign it, and you basically sign over your relative. They come for your relative, and however long it takes, I think the maximum is 3 weeks up at Fair Oaks.
Well, they take them to a geriatric psych unit,
That's
usually
right.
within a hospital setting.
Very restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
You can only visit twice a week for 1 hour each time. Mm-hmm. And basically, they try
To stabilize them.
to stabilize them.
Right.
And that's a nice way of saying that they're going to try a lot of different drugs to see what works.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times, they have to, what I call snow them, meaning that they are so out of control at this
yeah.
point. I mean, that's why they're there. I mean, they are out of control. They're a
Yeah.
danger to themselves and to
Well.
others, and they have to obviously try to stabilize them with whatever's going to work, but there's no magic pill. There's no one
No.
thing that's going to work. So they have psychiatrists there and different therapists and doctors and nurses within the unit, and it's almost like a trial and error to see
No question.
how much they need, of what do they need.
Right.
And that's why it takes time, and they're there, and, you're limited, like you said, with your visits, because they're trying to get her stabilized, and sometimes the family, they want to be involved, they want to be there, but sometimes it's a hindrance for them to be there.
And that's what I want to say too. Is once you do that, it's their game. You can't do anything. That's it. It's I don't want to say it's an evil. It's certainly not an evil, but it's a necessary hard thing to do.
So what happened with your mom once she went into the psych unit?
The whole 3 weeks was a very bad experience. I can't tell you. I would rather have root canal without anesthesia than do that again. But it's it's something that has to get done.
It ripped your heart out.
It did, because when you go to visit, she doesn't look the same. She doesn't speak, walk, drink, eat. None of it is what you think you're going to see. Mm-hmm. It is a bad visual experience. It's a bad mental experience.
And that's why I said sometimes it gets worse before it gets better.
There's
because,
no question.
I mean, it did get better as far as her behavior.
No question.
Okay.
And as hard as those 3 weeks were, we were in constant contact with the doctors. Very nice. 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, they would call me when they would tell me they're going to change the medicines. This medicine isn't working. She's not sleeping.
They would call you at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, yeah. And I wanted to know that, to see, where we're going, what's working, what's not working. So the doctors and the aides, because she would be up all night walking around, disturbing other people, they would give another round of medicines. And they would tell me, Sam, we're going to change the medicine. This one's not working. Or a cocktail of, a combination of medicine.
Yeah, they were trying.
But today, if you see her today, she's not normal, but as wherever this disease is going, it's controllable. The disease is progressive.
And once she got Baker acted and you're stabilizing her, is that when you realized that, gee, I can't bring her home anymore?
That's right.
And so what did you do?
That's a process too. And you investigate, you visit care facilities, what's going to be good for her, what's going to be good for us, because we have to come here. We have to want to go. You want to make sure you're doing the right. It's that guilt. You want to make sure you're doing the right. I must have visited 18.
Wow.
I literally walked in and walked out of some places. We went to Arden Court. Arden Court was, I hope you don't mind me saying that, but Arden Court was like a country club. So it wasn't, not only for us a good visual aspect, but for my mom. It's important because they see, they smell, they taste, they know. And when your mother, when you bring somebody like that into that environment, they say, oh, this is very pretty. You struck something in the brain. And that's what you want.
So you found Arden Courts to be the place that you felt your mother would be the most comfortable and that you would be the most comfortable.
Absolutely.
And so you went ahead and did through the process of making that happen.
Absolutely.
And
we got there and we got to befriend a lot of the people there, even a lot of the patients that were there. That's what people don't understand too, is you visit as much as I do, you become friends. Mm-hmm. The patients get to know you get to know them, you get to know their families, the stories are there. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different environment.
Did you worry before Mom moved in? Did you worry about how she would accept that?
Oh yeah.
What were your thoughts? What were you worried about?
It went from me worrying and my family worrying about my mother to worrying about us. This is something that we had to do. There's no way out of this. The best thing we can do is, that's what had to happen. How do we feel about that happening? So we picked the best place that we could, and that's what we did. We moved forward. The hardest thing too is that transition point from that first day to, and I agree with that. Don't come for a week, or don't come let them settle in. That's difficult, because when you have family, we want to see Mom. You can't. You'll undo the I get it. I get it now more than I got it the first day.
Right. It's hard to take the recommendations of the place, because you want to be there, you want to be involved, but sometimes we have to listen to the professionals, to the experts, for the benefit of our loved one, because we've been through that so many times with so many families and so many residents that we know what works.
Absolutely.
And it's hard sometimes to let go, and it's like giving your baby to a babysitter for the first time. It's like, okay, don't drop them, and make sure that you do this and do you do that. And you probably felt the same way, is because here you've been her primary caregiver all these years, and now you're basically saying to somebody else, here, take care. This is my mom, right? And it's hard to give up that control, hoping that they'll know what to do and do the right thing. And luckily you picked a great place. Arden Courts is my favorite. And tell me about your fears about, would Mom not like you because of that? Were you afraid of that?
She had explained to her sisters, my mom's sisters, and my sister, that I was the bad guy, that I'm doing all of this. She doesn't know why. at one point you become numb to that. You just let it happen. In the beginning, these are the first words that you've heard that are so bad about you coming from your mother. My mother used language my mother doesn't curse.
But you heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The filter was gone. The filter leaves, and they
Absolutely.
say things. Now, she always knew those words,
Right.
but she didn't say them because she knew better. She had social graces.
Yeah.
But Alzheimer's disease takes that filter away, and all of a sudden you're hearing things you never heard before out of your mother's mouth.
Let me tell you, there's surprises at every corner.
Wow.
The day of the Baker Act, I just want to elaborate on one. That was a 4-hour thing. And I did it, we planned it. We had the psychiatrist at my home with the documentation, with the court order, with her prescription on it. We had fire rescue. We had not one, not two, not three, but 4 police cars.
Wow.
And my mother in a circle telling them what to do and how she's not going to do it.
Tough situation.
Unbelievable. And from that point on, she hated me. She drove them nuts. So I stepped in that night to try to calm her down. It didn't work. They gave her some medicine that kind of quieted her down, and we moved forward from that point.
Right. And then she moved in, and we made her
That
feel...
was a turning point.
Turning point, because
Right.
we made her feel part of the family.
Right.
Made her feel like she belonged. We
Right.
let her be a nurse
Right.
there. She felt like she did work there.
Right.
And I think that really helped her to acclimate because she had a purpose. She
Right.
was, we let her give her consultations, and, we called her over and what do you think? And,
Right.
we gave her purpose again. We let her be who she is.
And that's a key ingredient. You think that they don't, they can't put these things together, their past, but they do.
She lives in the past, and I know she worked so many years
Right.
with a doctor. Didn't she work for Dr. Oliver Sacks, who recently passed away?
40 years.
Yeah, he was a lead neurologist and
Yep.
did research on this.
Yeah, they made a movie at my mother's hospital at Beth Abraham called Awakenings.
That was made at her hospital.
In the hospital, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now she's doing much better.
Yeah.
Acclimated
Yeah.
and socializing
Yeah.
and getting what she needs as far as socialization,
Right.
stimulation, medication, oversight, and
Right.
administration. And
Things that we can't do, Marcia, they do. The medicines are, no matter what we try to do, and that's key.
well, you gave her independence back.
Right.
Rather than having her feel that she's cooped up and she can't leave the condo, you gave her independence
Right.
back where she is in a safe environment, but she still has a lot of independence. The difference is that she's in a safe, nurturing environment where
Correct.
she feels that she has all the freedom in the world.
Correct.
And that's so important for their purpose of feeling in control.
Correct.
So you gave her control back.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
Look, whoever is listening to this or watching this is progressive. They can never forget it.
And it never gets better. It's only going to
Right.
get worse.
And that's what I keep saying to myself.
Yeah.
The bad days will outnumber the good days.
Yeah.
So when you do get a good day, it's a good day for you too.
Yeah, take that
Take it
good
in as
day
much as you
and-
can.
That's right.
So, and that's the advice I give.
Well, we're gonna go to a last commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna hear Sam's advice. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Take a pen and jot down this information. Right from the Heart assists families in finding the right living arrangements for their aging parents. Founded in 2012 by Sharon Agate, Senior Lifestyle Consultant, Sharon has counseled seniors and their families for over 20 years in clinical settings and in independent assisted living and memory care communities. Finding the right community can be overwhelming and time-consuming. Right from the Heart takes the stress and worry from you. Sharon will meet with mom or dad and evaluate their needs and lifestyle preferences and create a personalized plan at no cost to you. She will accompany you to visit selected communities and guide you every step of the way so you can be assured you're making a well-informed decision. Call Sharon at 561-374-4696. Sharon's promise to you is in your knowing that her advice will always come right from the heart. Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law, to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back. We're here talking with Sam. Sam's mother has Alzheimer's disease, and Sam has been sharing with us his journey throughout this process with Mom. And thank you again, Sam, for
My pleasure.
being here and sharing. I know it's not always easy to share such a personal story, but I'm really glad that Arden Courts was able to help your mom, and I'm glad you found us, and I'm glad she's doing much, much better now.
Thank you.
So tell us what advice you would have for an adult child, a daughter or son, that may be just beginning this process, and what advice would you give to them now that you've been through this and you're still going through it, but you've learned, from trial and error, and please share with us what you would like to give to someone that you think would be important for them to know.
I think the number one thing is to develop a sense of patience. I mean, if you think you have patience, you don't. For what's going to come your way, you need to really establish that within your own psyche and say that, these things are going to happen. Read if you want to read, but certainly get as much information as you can from people, from care groups, people like you. Call up assisted living facilities. Tap into it. Get brochures. Do whatever you need to do. If you're going to be the caregiver for the immediate time, you need to be prepared. You're going to be prepared. Either you're going to be prepared before it happens to you, or it's going to prepare you as it comes.
Right.
But you're going to get prepared.
It's better to get prepared ahead of time than to not be prepared and then have to struggle so hard.
Second thing is communication with family and friends. That, no matter how bad it is, no matter how confrontational it is, you don't ever want to feel alone. And that's going to happen. That's especially when you are the one taking care one-to-one. So you need to communicate, and if you have to push back, you have to push back. Because if you're the primary caregiver at that point, then you're calling the shots. And if they don't like something, they don't like something. That's it. I mean, you can't please them. You have to do what's right, not only for that parent, but for yourself. And the other thing is self-preservation. That could seep away in no time.
And what did you do for that?
I speak to friends. You know, even if you watch television, something that you can escape for a half hour. You know, go for a walk. You know, but mostly talking to other people.
That helped you to process things.
Absolutely.
And get a little bit of empathy and support from other people that were close to you.
Excuse me. I found it better to hear things from a John Q. caregiver than I did from an MD. Because in my mind, they're predisposed to tell me that. Mm-hmm. You know, but when you're sitting there conversing and, and that hits home, it hits home.
Well, that's why I'm so glad you came today to share that, because people are hearing from you, the real caregiver. And you're right. Doctors can say something, you might think it's a pat answer,
right.
But you've been there, you've done it, you've lived it, and it's important. So I want to thank you again for sharing your story. And, you know, if you've heard something that you want to know more about, you can give Arden Courts a call. We'll help you with any questions you have. And I can't stress enough to the importance of being educated, being prepared before you need to be. And that's why I want to offer one more time this book to you, Staying Afloat in a Sea of Forgetfulness. Call Arden Courts, get your copy, 888-478-2410. Join us next time on CareGiverSolutions.info. Watch our shows on the website that are archived in case you miss some. And I hope you join us next week. And in the meantime, don't forget, go walk for the Alzheimer's Walk, and also give somebody a hug. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on CareGiverSolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more Caregiver Solutions. The opinions